Most people think power comes from intelligence or money or confidence, but power usually disappears before those things ever matter. It disappears in moments no one notices, when you chase a response, when you explain a decision that didn't need explaining, when silence feels uncomfortable, so you fill it. The elite don't avoid these behaviors because they're trained better. They avoid them because their internal wiring reacts differently. Today, we're not talking about how to gain power. We're talking about why most people leak it without realizing it. And once you see this, you won't unsee it. In the last video, we examined how external standards like luxury show up in behavior. Today, we go deeper. We move beneath behavior into the internal wiring that determines who chases, who explains, and who holds power. Chasing doesn't begin as strategy, it begins as discomfort, the discomfort of not knowing where you stand, the discomfort of uncertainty, the discomfort of silence. Your nervous system reads uncertainty as danger, so it pushes you to follow up, clarify, check in, justify, re-explain. Not because it's logical, but because relief feels urgent. Chasing is rarely about ambition, it's about calming internal tension. Powerful people don't feel less uncertainty, they feel it, and don't move to relieve it immediately. Watch what happens the moment you explain something that didn't require explanation. You feel lighter, more reasonable, more understood, but something else happens. Quietly, you shift the frame. The moment you explain unnecessarily, you communicate one thing. This decision is open for negotiation. Explanation isn't neutral. It tells the other person you're unsure, you're seeking alignment, you're managing their reaction. Each explanation is a signal that you need their approval to feel secure, and people unconsciously lower the value they assign to those who need approval. Elite individuals explain when necessary, not when uncomfortable. This isn't about withholding information or playing games. It's about distinguishing between explaining for clarity and explaining to manage someone else's reaction to you. Silence is one of the most misunderstood forces in social dynamics. Most people think silence is dominance. It's not. Silence is regulation. Silence becomes powerful only when your nervous system can tolerate it. Watch what happens internally when you don't respond right away. The body tightens. Your nervous system shifts into sympathetic activation. The mind races through scenarios. Your system wants closure, not because it's logical, but because uncertainty triggers a survival response. So, it pushes you to speak, not because it's wise, because silence exposes unresolved internal pressure. The elite don't use silence to intimidate. They use silence because they don't need immediate relief. Here is the law most people never see. The person who moves first under discomfort reveals who is regulating whom. Think about a conversation where someone doesn't respond to your message. Your instinct is to follow up. But notice, you're the one who moved. You're the one whose internal state demanded relief. Chasing is regulation. Explaining is regulation. Over-responding is regulation. You're not responding to the situation. You're responding to your internal state. This is why power isn't something you take. It's something that remains when you don't leak it. If this feels uncomfortable to hear, good. That discomfort isn't moral failure. It isn't weakness. It's conditioning. Most people were rewarded early for being agreeable, being clear, being responsive, being easy to work with. So when you stop chasing, when you stop explaining, when you let silence exist, your system reads it as risk. Not because it's wrong, because it's unfamiliar. Power doesn't begin in the room, it begins in the body. When your nervous system no longer panics at unanswered messages, delayed responses, unresolved tension, you stop leaking value, not because you learned a tactic, because your wiring changed. This channel isn't about domination, it's about internal stability, because once that stabilizes, your behavior stops negotiating for relief. And when that happens, power doesn't need to be chased, it stays.